which is of 26th June 1972. And before we start this Murli, I just wanted to share that this Murli, there are 3 words which Baba explained or helped us understand that what is the connection. Since Baba said that what is your aim, our aim is to be perfect, right? So, which means that we have to become 16 celestial degrees complete. Sola kala sampurna banna hai. And if there is slightest defect also, then Baba said, then you won't be 16 celestial complete. You'll become maybe 14 celestial degrees. So if we have kept that aim of becoming perfect, then Baba said that there shouldn't be any effect of Maya in our thoughts or in our actions, in our connections, in our relationships. There shouldn't be any defect. So if we have no defect, only then we'll be able to become perfect. We will become perfect. So let us hear from Baba as it is, okay, in his words, in his versions. And this Murli is very beautiful and very, very simple, short Murli. I'm sure everyone loves to hear from Baba in his own words. So the revised date is 26th June 1972, and today's Murli's title is To Save Yourself from Effect Means to Become Perfect. The aim of all of you is to become perfect, is it not? To be perfect means not to have any defects. What is the sign of any defect still remaining? When there is the slightest trace of any effect of Maya in your thoughts or in your connections and relationships, there is a defect. And like for example, if we see, if there is something wrong, or if we are experiencing slightest, the feeling of low, like we say that today I'm feeling very low. So which means that there is something not right. We have to correct it. So even if in thoughts also Baba said that there is slightest trace of Maya in any way, which means that there is some defect. So when the body is affected by anything, there is an illness. That is, there is an effect. Just as when the body is affected by the climate or by whatever you eat or drink, and you will become ill. In order that no defect remains, you have to protect yourself from being affected by Maya. We have to protect ourselves from being affected by Maya. There is always one or another type of effect, and this is why you cannot become perfect. You have to try to remove any type of effect so that you become effect proof. So this is another point to churn. I mean, we can have a very good conversation how to remove any type of effect so that we can become effect proof. You also receive facilities for this time, for this from time to time. How we can be effect proof, like we have these retreats where where we have this collective meditation and we have these classes together, so that we are made aware from time to time. Our connection has become made more strong with Baba, by different ways and different points of self-respect and different topics for our classes and all. So how can you keep your mind from being affected? How can you keep your words from being affected? How do you remain far from being affected in your actions? You have been given many types of yuktis for each aspect, for mansa, vacha, karmana, right? For mind, of course, we have, the knowledge. Baba asked us to churn on this knowledge time and again. Baba is reminding us. So there could be like a practice that we can have during the day. Okay, what are this? Like, let's say, for example, I remember when I was very new to this Gyan, and one of the senior brothers, he actually, he was holding my hand. He said, like, okay, he asked me very nicely, politely. He said that, okay, what is the effort that you're taking every day? And I said, I'm doing every day Amrit Vela, every day I'm, go to Murli class, and then I go, to work. He said, there's one thing that you can do every day. And he said, this is what I've been practicing, and this is how you have to make your base very strong. He said, just pick up one word. Okay, let's say knowledge, or let's say Maya, let's say drama, or any word you pick, and start writing your thoughts on that particular word. That is your churning. That is your, treasure that you have collected from this knowledge. And that's how you know that how much you know about, that particular aspect, or that particular, that word, how much depth you have in terms of the knowledge. And of course, for words, Baba said, like day before yesterday also, the Murli was very interesting, the Sakar Murli, where Baba said that, you have to be very, very polite, you have to be very, very sweet. And that is when, you can become perfect. And that is how we can remove all the defects. Simple yuktis that Baba has been given through Sakar Murlis and also through Avyakt Murlis as well. And of course, like if, and in last Sunday, the Murli was, the Baba explained that, if thought is the seed, words and actions are, the, expansion of what the seed is. So that is where we have to make sure that if our thoughts are intact or defect free, they won't be, untouched by Maya, then of course it will be more uh, strong and more, we are becoming perfect. So Baba said that always, keep your words from being affected. How can you keep your, how do you remain far from being affected by actions? So you have been many types of yuktis for each aspect. However, you're still affected, and afterwards, you try to adopt those facilities. Those who are those who are sensible, pay attention in advance. So there are smart children, in the classroom, and the teacher gives the homework, or, before like teaching, maybe they prepare themselves and they are ready to learn, they read the chapter in advance, for example. So we know that, okay, what are the situations going to be? So you prepare yourselves, and you start taking efforts in that direction so that you're safe. Those who are prepared for a hot climate in advance are said to be sensible. If they lack understanding, then they are affected by the hot climate. So, like a lotus flower, you have to constantly remain beyond being affected and remain loved by the Father. Each of you can know, according to your effort and according to your stage, what your soul is affected by from time to time. Each of you know, according to your effort and according to your stage, what your soul is affected by from time to time. Whilst knowing this, you are still not able to adopt those facilities. Baba has given us a lot of facilities. He has given us the knowledge so that we understand the time. Like last Sunday also, Baba explained very clearly, you are the ones, who has got the knowledge of 3 aspects of time. And considering that, then you have to maybe, act and take action, think. So whilst knowing this, you are still not able to adopt those facilities, even though you wish to do it. At that time, it is as though you lack the knowledge of how to do it. When someone is affected, this brings a defect in the intellect of the person. And then the intellect does not work at that time. In the same way, because of being affected by the different forms of Maya, you become senseless, and therefore defects still remain in becoming perfect. Just as it is essential to look after your body, in the same way, you should continue to have total understanding of your soul as you move along. Like, every time, we have to make sure that we have to understand our body and understand as a soul as well. Like, for example, how much to eat, and what is good for my body and what is not good for my body. If I have the knowledge, then I think we can still remain, very, very strong and will fall. I mean, you won't, have any difficulty or any, illness. In the same way, like if I know that, maybe if being short-tempered was your sanskar and you still, you see the, effects of it, then maybe we have to, that, okay, these are my red buttons. Maybe someone is trying to press, then I know that I have to remind myself constantly that, no, this is my paper, or I have to be very calm and peaceful. I have to handle the situation, more intelligently and be very, very peaceful in the situation. So when you know that this is something which is my weakness, then I can take control of myself and the situation. So only then will you quickly be able to remain beyond being affected and become perfect. Whilst knowing something, you are sometimes influenced by the company, and so you make mistakes. So there is a very strong reason. Like, why do we make mistakes? Because Baba said sometimes, but most of the times it is the company. Who are the people I am with? What is usually the conversation that I am engaged in? And the result is, like, I constantly keep churning those points. Knowingly, unknowingly, that happens. And that is where we are influenced and colored by the company, and then we take wrong decisions, or maybe we utter words that are not right as per Srimad, or even that spoils my thinking. I'm, colored with different perspectives, and that's where we make mistakes. So you also understand this, but at that time, because of the atmosphere or the problems or the sanskars, or because of lacking the power to be a part of a gathering, you are affected by them again and again. So constantly check yourself to see what the main things affect you. So this is the third time Baba has asked us to do this homework, to constantly check ourselves to see what are the main things affect you. You must constantly protect yourself from being affected by them, by the company. Only then will you be easily become perfect. This is the main effort. So to protecting us from the bad company, who is taking away from, Baba or Baba's service or Baba's knowledge. So we have to keep ourselves intact, protect ourselves. And we'll understand this. For example, if you just sit quiet and if you just be with yourself for some time and check what are the thoughts constantly, you'll get a feel of it, like where I am. If I am having the thoughts of knowledge of Baba's love, Baba's connection, Baba's relationship, then you're okay. But the moment you're having a lot of different thoughts pulling you in all different directions, which means that somewhere I've got influenced. And that is where Baba said, it is a very good practice to have a traffic control. Check your thoughts after every 1 hour, 2 hours. Okay, am I still connected with Baba? How was my last 1 hour? To check, to change, and make that connection or that bond very, very strong after regular intervals. So each of us know the reason why you are affected. And although you do know this, Maya or the situations affect you a little, do they not? So you have to protect yourself from being affected. Have you become effect proof? Yes. Have you become effect proof? You know the methods by which you're not influenced by the company or the food you eat. So you can make yourself free from effect. From being sensible, Maya makes you ignorant, and you constantly remain, if you constantly remain within the knowledge, that is, if you constantly have sense, then those who are sensible are never affected by anyone. Sensible isn't to keep that knowledge, that awareness, and that knowledge emerged throughout the day. So if someone has protected himself from being affected, it is said, this one is very sensible. So Maya, first of all, makes your sense, that is your understanding, weak. Enemies who oppose you first try to make you weak, and then they attack you. And Baba gave this one example even in other Murli also, initially, I think in 69. Like if the enemy who would like to attack you, he first, targets the communication center so that there is no communication with anyone. And that's how they become weak. And then it's easy for them to take over and attack. So in the same way, Maya also attacks us first, that is our mind, our understanding, our sense becomes weak so that we don't know what to do, we are lost. And that's how Maya takes control. So enemies who oppose you first try to make you weak, and then they attack you. Only then do they become victorious. They look for many ways of first making you weak. In the same way, Maya, the enemy, also makes you weak in your sense, that is understanding. You are then not able to understand whether something is right or wrong. Then you're affected. And the effect then takes on the form on a defect. Effect, mana, if there is a slightest, if you're influenced, or this particular effect will take a form of defect that becomes your weakness. Defects do not allow you to become perfect. Your aim, what is your aim? To become perfect, that is 16 celestial degrees complete. And if there is slightest defect, you become 14 celestial degrees. So what aim have you kept? Those who are sensible will definitely be successful. I mean, they'll have complete understanding. What are my defects? How can I be perfect? And they'll stay away from Maya or being affected, right? Acha. So that's the Murli today. And let us give a lot of love and regard and remembrance to our beloved Bap Dada. And let us stay in silence for a minute before we move towards the churning of today's Murli. Shanti. So you can share your takeaways from today's Murli.
Om Shanti, brother.
Om
So
Shanti.
I like this point that when we get defeated by Maya, the defect creates inside and it works again and again.
Mhm.
At that point, I have to look after. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Also, we should be aware. So, for what circumstances I get defeated more often, and I have to protect myself from that situation by correctly applying Jnana or to be aware at that situation, make me too successful.
Mhm.
Om Shanti. I think the essence of today's Murli is to be constantly aware of each and every thought. I mean, in every situation, when we come across and when we are interacting with bodily beings, we should always keep checking at every interval, program our mind that we remain as a detached observer. No thought should get created as a part of any low energy. So if thoughts are to be created, always they should be created as per in the remembrance of Baba, that is supreme consciousness. So then we are detached from some these low energy feelings, and our mood will also be always upright, elevated. Uh, as Baba says, na, Brahman life means always enthusiasm, energy.
Mhm.
So that's and there won't be any defect. And the checking point is, am I under influence of any bodily being or any uh, material object or any material attainments? Then that means I need to be very, very cautious. Do it immediate checking, instant checking, that I am full of attainments from Baba. Then why this thing is pulling my intellect? So that checking only will help, and there won't be any effect, or even there won't be any side effects. If there is effect, then there would be so many side effects also, like
Mhm.
mood coming low and up and down, and feeling of a sorrow and feeling of a guilt and all this. So to remain free from all this is the only thing is be perfect. Perfect means always remember the highest and the holiest, that ever pure Baba.
Mhm.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. There are these three things which is mentioned in today's Murli when I was reflecting on how can you keep your words from being affected. The method to this is churn the words or chew the words before you speak is one reflection. Then the other point is how can you keep your mind from being affected. What I was getting was is whenever there is anything that we feel is we're getting disturbed, is to churn the knowledge. Maybe going back and looking at Murli points or listening to some Baba's song, practically to be looked at. The third thing that Baba says today is about how do you remain far from being affected in your actions, which Ombai just mentioned about being a detached observer. I think these are the three methods which will allow us to work on not getting affected by external things around us, which may impact or affect our own way of being. That's my takeaway.
Wonderful. Yes, sister.
Om Shanti, brother.
Om Shanti.
You know, when these kind of words come in the Murli, more than being a person reading the Murli, what comes to my mind is the meaning of the word. You know, I literally become a grammar teacher over here. If you just see, take the word affect. AFFECT. That's the English language. You know, it just means to improve or to change or something. It may be positive or it may be negative. The crops were affected or I got affected by her talk. So that is some change which it will bring out in the originality of what we were. So generally we call that as a verb, something happening, doing, it's a process. But effect is the result. Even though effect is also something happening, but effect is to make it happen, something, it's say the result. Ye hua. Now, defect generally means something which is not perfect. Or we say in simple language, imperfection, no quality. So for that, we have to understand what is perfection. I like the way Baba takes it. You know, if you see the whole Murli, if he started from what he started, I take it like a flow chart. I have no intellect, or that is, I don't take care of no intellect. I am affected. There will be an effect, which will create a defect, and then there will be no perfection. That's a beautiful way I just take. So Baba traces all this to an intellect. It means what? Sense. So more than sense, I think we cannot use the word sense. I think it is naive. In English, there's a word N-A-I-V-E. Naive means, aisa kya, aisa hua kya, mujhe malum nahi. The soul knows everything, but it behaves ignorantly. Naive intellect is what will lead it. So I just like these, the flowchart. No intellect, effect, defect, no perfection.
Very well explained. Thank you for that. Anyone else would like to share? What were your thoughts?
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
I will remember Baba and feel energy at every 1 hour. This is my takeaway.
Om Shanti Brother. Today Baba giving some examples that we must have the awareness of the hot climate. Means in advance we have to ready to face it. Otherwise we are all affected by the hot climate. Likewise, like a lotus flower, we have to constantly remain beyond being affected and remain loved by the Father. This is my takeaway.
So how can we be effect proof?
It's the thing, it's first attacking our communication, make us weak, breaks our communication with the Baba, the powerful. Om Shanti.
How to be effect proof is, so for that, I have to first know what was the effect or what affected me. So generally they say the soul is influenced. So more than effect, I can use the word influence over here. The soul is generally influenced by its own weaknesses. We know what affects, but we don't have the power to discern it. That is, we don't understand the nature of people, nature of situation, what is right, what is wrong. So only later when things don't happen according to our expectation, we say, oh, there's a mistake. So what do we need for it? As Baba says, two things, two rights, right company, right diet. So diet, which he means not only for the body, mind, and soul. And I must be vigilant. So if I take of that, so the result, so I don't know what one is understanding about effect proof. So that effect proof is linked to perfection. So once I know that link between from going from down the flowchart, then I can say I should be vigilant, I should have right company, I should have right diet, I should know, I should have the power of discern. I think this is a lovely flow chart which comes from. But in short, to say right company, right diet for all, and vigilant.
So there's another question now. Like Baba also spoke about, Baba has given us so many facilities. So what do you understand by adopting these facilities, or what are the facilities that we have got as Brahmins?
Om Shanti. Here, what reflection I was getting when the Baba took examples of these facilities, especially the lotus, is the stage of the soul has to be like a totally detached from the outer this world, this body, and the bodily beings. That anything, because and no expectations from anyone except Baba, in the true sense, in the real sense. That is one. Second, the other three facilities are the Swadershan Chakra, the discuss of self-realization, that who am I and who is mine, and what are the parts which I am playing from the Adi Kal to the Sangayug and the entire Kalpa. What is my part? Who am I? And third facility is the determination. As we said, now we should always be vigilant intellectually, always vigilant on what is my thought energy right now. And fourth is the shank, the churning, which we said, no? Churning of knowledge, which always keeps my energy elevated, and always I'm in my Swaman. I think, in my view, these are the four facilities. Om Shanti.
Just adding on to what brother just mentioned, there are these 8 powers, values, virtues. Murli being the foundation of everyday start and Amrit Vela. These are the few reflections that comes to me while we speak about the facilities that Baba has given us to be defect free.
True. That's what I wanted to even add on. As Rakib had said, when the word facility is sadhan, then when we took birth, we got a divine intellect. And every day we have these powers, these virtues, these blessings which come in the murlis and the treasures, we know it. We have everything with us. It is there in a box, but we don't know how to open the lock or when to open the lock, the time. And we open it after the situation has gone or after the thing. So, kaise is sadhan ko use kar? How to use these facilities, how to really put them into effect so that I'm not affected. That is where time and knowledge, 2 things Baba Singh we lack. Kaisa use karna hai, kab use karna hai. So even for that power which we need. This is what Baba speaks about the facilities in the body.
Wonderful. Now, Baba also said one thing which was really wonderful. Like sometimes we know something, okay, and sometimes we are influenced by company, so we make mistakes. So what do you understand by while knowing something also we make mistakes?
That is the lack of
that is when
power to, despite knowing, the intellect gets pulled away. The intellect is not going in the right direction. That is the reason that we are aware that I am doing a wrong thing, but the intellect is getting pulled by the past sanskars, the past habits or anything. So that gets dominated. So Baba says that Baba's remembrance is the only key to remove this load which we are carrying from the 63 births of body consciousness.
What I feel is when Baba is speaking about company is, first let us think, whatever facilities we got, kahan se mila hai, the source. We leave that company. We leave that originality from where it has come. But we adopt the Shastra Mat, Baba saying, no, Paramat, Shastramat, Manmat, all these kind of things, these dictates, which dictates our mind. And then he says the second one are old samskars. So we are not able to really do it. This is the obstacle we have.
Mm-hmm.
That is why Baba speaks always about company and samskars. What company you must keep, what is the companion you must keep, and what you have to do to your samskars. So this is what, brother, but I didn't understand the third part which he said. I was trying to churn. What is the power? Not lacking the power of part of a gathering. So what gathering Baba speaking about, satsang or what? Could you just elaborate on that? The lack of power of part of a gathering. That's a third thing which Baba mentions.
Mm-hmm.
Please elaborate.
Sure. Like this is when we are in this, for example, when we are as a part of a team, like if, for example, if you're doing some seva in Sangathan, in the group, in the gathering, then even like, that is where all the sanskars are emerged. For example, if we don't know like what the person is like, when we are just meeting one-on-one, but if you look at the same person, if he's a part of a group or a team, okay, doing something or working on achieving a common goal, so that's where we understand what the person's original sanskar is. If he's able to cooperate, if he's able to support each other, if he's able to trust the people in the group, in the team, so that is where all the sanskars are emerged. We understand the original nature of the person. And that is what I personally think is, how do we are we lacking any power of maybe accommodating other sanskars, or maybe cooperating with them? So are we having these powers, or are we lacking these powers? It is only visible, or we only get to know when we are part of a gathering or a team. Yeah, I mean, if anyone else would like to add anything to this, maybe you're free to do. But that is what my understanding is. Rakiben, you would like to add anything?
As you rightly said, power of accommodation and power of cooperation. And then, of course, the other powers like power of compassion, power of love, bringing all of that together while we are in a gathering. And it's like I'm not separate from the gathering. One for all and all for one is the place to stand, is what I was getting.
Mm-hmm.
Om Shanti, sister and brother.
Om Shanti.
What I was hearing this wonderful churning amongst all of you, and I just felt that when you are in a congregation or when you're surrounded by different kind of people, so while Baba does emphasize on good company, but he also in so many different Murlis emphasizes on being the lotus. And therefore, you cannot really control who's going to be around you all the time. So it is best that you learn to master the fact that you are above all those people that are around you who cannot influence you in the wrong way, because they will be around you no matter what, So that's the hard reality. And you cannot be always isolated and just, surrounded with the best diet, the best company. So these are just things as guidance. But I think the more important thing is to just be above it. And it doesn't impact you at all. And the remembrance is the key. And while you were all speaking, I was just visualizing a glass, like, your body is made of glass. And as if, when a crack happens in a glass, when they say Maya is making you weak, so that crack is happening, but it immediately melts and becomes perfect again the moment you remember. You just trust Baba, the source, the Almighty, whichever name you want to give. But the fact is, the love of the Almighty is going to just remove that dent, is going to make you perfect again. And that's the only way, because you just cannot be searching for this best of this. And it's not going to happen practically. Om Shanti.
Yes, just
Sister, can I
adding
just
one
ask you a
reflection to
doubt,
the
sister?
that we cannot control external world. What we can control is our inner world. where Baba is focusing on all the defects, effects, all that thing is happening inside. And the inside, if Baba is there, the Baba's remembrance is there, then I'm connected with the supreme energy. Then there cannot be any defect. I totally agree with the sister's wonderful reflections. Om Shanti.
Sister who just spoke now, can I ask you a doubt? You were saying about that congregation and all. That is why I had a doubt, because I've learned about this power of gathering. Now, I would love the power of gathering if it inspires me, if it brings hope in me, if it brings joy in me, if it brings, some kind of thoughtful in me. But how can I really, I know I need the power to discern in it, but that's later. But how can I really say that the power of gathering is what is needed for me to not be affected and to produce defect? Could you please say, because you spoke about congregation?
Yeah, so actually now I'm talking purely from my practical experience only, to be honest. With the congregation, like I know I had friends and even me myself when we were low in spirit, or maybe, not circumstances are adverse and you need that kind of energy. A congregation sometimes supports you to empower you. So if you see whether people in temples or even in our centers, when they are singing together, or in gurdwaras or churches, I mean, why do they sing together? Because that vibration that is created collectively has such a mesmerizing impact that it can really uplift your spirit and bring you back to that empowered state. But you don't really need that congregation all the time, but that congregation helps you to reach that empowered state. I don't know if that's making sense, but that's how I would look at it, because it really, you learn, like even what we are doing now, this churning is like a congregation. I mean, we are learning from each other and empowering each other. So it's the that it uplifts you, it inspires you, it's good. I mean, but finally it's you yourself eventually. There's no beating that. These are all just methods to get you there. That's the way I look at it. Om Shanti.
Yeah, I think I got your point. So one word which I could catch from what you say is the spirit. So if the spirit within me, if it knows what it needs, what is the path, I think I can do. Because this word gathering, I always feel is a loose word, gather. Gather is something, just some people meet. But congregation is a very nice thing. I always like it. That's why I had that doubt, sister. So I take one word from what you said, the spirit. So the spirit of what I am, if it is going to, that gathering is going to affect my spirit over here, I should have the power to discern that I don't get affected by it. Thank you, sister.
Okay, Shanti. So it's a wonderful Murli. Baba's words and Baba's versions are always, always, always energizing and very, very inspiring. A very good start for today's day. So let us now move to meditation. Sitting back, relaxed and comfortable, I slowly move my attention inwards and look at my original self, which is so pure and beautiful. I am very, very peaceful, full in all the forms, came from the land of peace, with all the powers, all the virtues. And now I'm experiencing it with Baba's knowledge and light. I'm seeing myself in the complete form, very, very powerful, very pure, and perfect. I see my light spreading all over. The energy of love, energy of light. In every action I do, with every person I meet, Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day. We'll meet tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Datta Bhai. Thank you, Divine Family, for this wonderful journey. And we shall meet tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.